From the governor of the state of California, Gavin Newsom, to ham radio operators across the People's Republic of California, you're fired. Yep. The state of California, well, it never was ham friendly, but they have now just fired ham radio from the emergency plan from the state of California. This time on K6UDA radio. If you can't tell, I'm just a wee bit pissed off this morning. And once again, for about the billionth time, I'm pissed off at the state of California. But this time, it's because of ham radio and the state of California. In typical California fashion, the government of the state of California, of the once great state of California, has declared itself independent, and the rulers, not the servants, of the people of this once great state. Yeah, yet again, one of the unelected, unaccountable, nameless, faceless bureaucrats deep within the bowels of the state has put her proverbial thumb on the necks of ham radio operators and repeater owners all across the state, possibly endangered the lives of hundreds of thousands of rural Californians. This story started in this tiny little town called Shingle Town, California. This is deep within rural California in Shasta County. It is just 50 miles from the heart of the Paradise Fire, which, less than a year ago, took out an entire town and killed hundreds of people. Like I said, Shasta County is one of the northernmost counties in the state of California. Very, very rural, very, very prone to forest fires. Everybody that lives in these areas is keenly aware of the danger of wildfires. And this group in Shingle Town has created a group of hams, a very well-organized militia of hams, non-hams, all kinds of people from the community, and almost everybody in the community is somehow connected with this communications group, because they realize that in the case of a fire, in the case of a lot of these emergencies, the first thing to go in their area is internet services. The cell phone service goes down. There is virtually no infrastructure for communications at that point. And like in the Paradise Fire, a lot of people were hurt and killed because they didn't have the communications to be able to be warned. So yes, in the state of California, there is this thing called the reverse 911, and they have all these really, really neat systems to warn people to evacuate, to do, to seek shelter in place, evacuate, do whatever needs to get done. But when all these systems fail, all at the same time, there's only one thing that keeps working, and that is the infrastructure of ham radio and radio communications, because it isn't an infrastructure. It isn't a real infrastructure. It is made up of this person to this person. You know the drill. Now, this is the actual email that was sent out, or the letter that was sent out from the nameless, faceless, unelected, unaccountable bureaucrat named Lorena Fisi from CAL FIRE. Basically, it goes like this. Dear John, I do understand and appreciate all the services you have provided in the past. However, with constantly changing technological advantages, there is no longer the same benefit to the state of California as previously provided. Therefore, the department no longer financially supports ham radio operators or their tenancy. Now, Shingle Town attorney Nathan Zelliff pretty much said it way better than I can. And he wrote a 14-page letter to the state of California and Lorena, accurately stating that the cost to the state of California is nothing. We own the equipment. We maintain the equipment. They just house it there, which costs them nothing extra. He goes on to talk about how their group in Shingle Town in Shasta County has gone ahead and implemented their own communications and early warning system in addition to the state system, which has failed as late as, let's say last year and into this year. He references the state's expensive color pamphlet that got handed out door to door, telling everybody to have a communications plan and practice it regularly. Yet now they're disbanding their own propaganda. That's wonderful. Thank you, Lorena. You know, this town has also been plagued with situations where they've lost their 911 capabilities, their radio capabilities. All the cell phones were out and down. And oh, by the way, PG&E now cuts off the power before the fire starts when there's high wind conditions. So they can't get news and information except on something like, say a ham radio. Shasta County's own emergency operations plan utilizes ham radio within it, and they understand, and they even state it right there, that under these kinds of circumstances, their normal radio communications will become overloaded, and they need ham radio to help with all the disaster preparations, operations, and aftermath. Now, Nathan also outlined very recent incidents where ham radio has been monitored by the police and used in conjunction with public safety during these emergencies. And man, I'll tell you what, Nathan did a very, very good job laying out all of the stuff in his exhibits that have happened right there in Shingle Town. And this is also the opportunity for us to ask the ARRL to actually step in and do something legislatively and in our interest for the state of California. Yes, you know what? Yeah, since I've become a ham radio operator, I've paid my dues to the ARRL, and I haven't really expected much out of the ARRL as far as being a legislative body. It's not like, say, the NRA, which has been protecting my constitutional rights forever and ever. I understand radio is not a constitutional right, but my safety and security sure as hell is. And I would ask, and let's just call this an open letter to the ARRL. Please, on behalf of your members that live in the once great state of California, please, let's get on board. How about lobbying the state? How about, making a few phone calls to the governor's office on our behalf on the, probably 25,000 members of the ARRL who live in the state of California? That would be nice. And for the rest of us, we can't just sit back and rely on unelected bureaucrats, on the ARRL, who really hasn't done much in the way of legislative action. Let's just face the facts. But we need to call. We need to write letters. We need to tell them that we want to be part of our own self-determination of, are we going to survive the next Paradise Fire? Are we going to survive, whatever else Mother Nature or, man-caused disasters might have in store for us? If you're like me, you should be a little bit pissed off at this point. And I hope that this call to action is gonna hit home with some of you guys. It should hit home with all of you, everybody in the state of California. I mean, this is, again, the government coming in and saying, we don't need you guys. We don't need the people. The government will take care of everything. The government will feed you. The government will house you. The government's doing such a wonderful job. There's homeless vets living on the street and pooping on the streets of San Francisco, LA, and Sacramento. Well, you know what? I don't live in LA, San Francisco, or Sacramento, and I don't want to, because those city governments have allowed the people to become just squalid pigs. I don't understand this. I just want to ask you guys, if you live here in the state of California, write a letter, send an email, go stop by their office, your local state assemblyman or state senator or both. And send an email to Gavin Newsom. I'm gonna provide his email right here, as well as the people in charge and the nameless, faceless bureaucrat. I'm gonna put her contact info, and let's deluge her and make her famous. And let's see if the state of California, if the representatives of the state of California are there for us, the people, or if they just want to continue on, building trains to nowhere and giving illegal aliens free health care on the backs of good, hardworking Americans and Californians who are fleeing the state in numbers that have never been seen. That's it. That's all I got. I got nothing else.